Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be going through demo problem 1, which is the stoplight problem from the previous lecture slide deck. Please pause the lecture video here and launch Jupyter Notebook session. We'll be using Jupyter Notebook to go through both the demo problems as part of today's lecture. Let me give you a brief overview of the stoplight problem. This particular program is going to provide recommendation to a driver in terms of what action the driver needs to take given a particular color of the stoplight and the distance of the car from the stoplight. The program is going to take two inputs. The first input is the color of the stoplight. The second input is the distance of the car from the stoplight in feet. What is going to be the output of the program? That's going to be the recommendation that we want to provide to the driver. When the color of the stoplight is green, the program is going to output smile. When the color of the stoplight is red and the driver is within a distance of 15 feet, the program is going to display hit the gas. If the driver is at a distance which is greater than or equal to 15 feet, the program is going to output stop abruptly. We have two other outputs from the program when the color of the stoplight is yellow. Let's get started by defining a function called stop underscore light. This particular function is going to have two defined parameters. I'm going to define the parameters as color and distance. Observe that I'm using meaningful variable names instead of saying x or y. It is important for you to use meaningful variable names within your program so that somebody else who is going through your program can understand what exactly that variable is referring to. Let's get started by writing the conditional. I'm going to say if color double equal to string red colon. This particular case is complex, so I want to revisit that. The way that I can tell Python that there are no lines of code within a particular block is by typing in the keyword pass. When Python sees pass, it will assume that there are no lines of code to run within that particular block. We can revisit that later. The next part of this conditional is going to be elif. You need to be careful to use elif. If you were to type in another if, that's going to be a brand new conditional. That's not what you want here, correct? You want to check if the color of the signal is yellow, if the color of the signal is not red. So I'm going to type in elif color equal to yellow, and once again I'm going to use the pass keyword. Let's revisit this block of code as well. Finally, I'm going to add in an else. Else case is very simple. We just need to return the string smile. Let me run the function definition. I'm going to keep incrementally testing my program here. The best recommendation for programmers is that you need to always incrementally write your code. That will ensure that you don't run into debugging issues which take a lot of time. If you keep incrementally testing your program, it is very easy for you to focus on the new lines of code which you have typed in, and you will be able to identify the issues with it. Let me call the function, and I'm going to pass the first argument as string green. The second argument can be any integer value, so I'm just going to pass 10 there. Looks like the program is providing the correct output for the color being green here. Let me call the print function so that we can keep calling the stop underscore light function with various inputs. Let's go back to the case where the color of the signal is red. We have the outer conditional which is checking for the color of the signal, and then within parts of those conditional, we have additional conditionals which we need to write. So the additional conditionals are nested conditionals. So let me remove the pass keyword from the if block here, and we are going to start typing a new conditional. Why is this a new conditional? That's because we have a nested conditional here. even though this conditional is connected to some part of the previous conditional, it's not directly part of the previous conditional. So we are going to start defining a new conditional here. And for this if condition, I'm going to check if distance is less than 15. Notice that I'm saying less than 15 and not less than or equal to 15, because that's what the program specification here says. You need to be careful with the corner cases always. So if the distance is less than 15, then we want to return hit the gas. What you have to do if the distance is greater than or equal to 15, then you'll have to return stop abruptly. So I'm going to define that as an else here, which is paired up with the if condition that we just wrote. Hopefully I spelled abruptly correctly. Looks like that is the case. Let me rerun the function definition here, and we are going to call the function for the case where we have red color light. Let's test out a couple of cases here. Let's just test red color with a distance of 10 feet. That should give the output as hit the gas. That seems to be working. What if we change the distance to 15 feet? That's a corner case, correct? Let's test that. Looks like that's giving the output as stop abruptly. Why is that the case? That's because our if condition here says if distance is less than 15. 15 is not less than 15. So you're going to go to the else block here and you'll be returning stop abruptly string. Let's fix the elif block here. I'm going to add in the second conditional by saying if distance is less than 30. What do I want to do then? I want to continue at the same speed. So that's what I'm going to type in here. So I'm going to simply say continue at same speed. Let's write the corresponding else. In that case, we want to return stop. Let me rerun the function definition, and I'm going to call the function for yellow color light. Let's use the first distance as 40, and let me change the color as yellow for the last function call, and I'm going to change the distance as 29, which is a corner case here. Let's see if we are getting the correct output. For 40 we are getting stop. Looks like that seems to be the case because the distance of 40 is not less than 30. What would happen if the distance is 29? 29 is less than 30, so we are going to get continue at the same speed. What do you think will happen if I call the function by passing the color as RAD instead of RED? Let's say that I have a typo in my function invocation. If you were thinking the program will output smile, then you had the correct answer. How come we are getting smile considering that the conditional never dealt with the color of rad here? Whenever your if and elif conditions evaluate to false, if you have an else, that's going to always be the fallback option for you, and the block of code within the else will always run. Let's look at the conditions here. We are checking if color is equal to red. This particular Boolean expression will evaluate to false. Then we are checking if color is equal to yellow. The elif Boolean expression will also evaluate to false. So you're going to fall back to the else here, which is returning smile. How can we fix this particular issue? We can explicitly use an elif for the green color to check if color equal to green. Then we can add in a final else which is going to return invalid color. Let's save the program and run the function definition, and I'm going to rerun the next cell which contains all the function calls to verify that nothing changed with my previous valid inputs to the function. Let's call the function call which has the invalid argument of rad. Looks like now we are getting invalid color as the output from the function. I'll wrap up this video here. In the next video, we'll go through demo problem 2.